Hey guys, welcome back to the Hit Up Rugby League podcast. Today we're joined with Josh and Connor again, and we have a special guest on, Ronald Volkman. How are you, man?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure. We love having guests on. It's been a bit of a struggle lately, but we're glad to get into it and have a good chat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, good.
Sweet. So we like to go through the journey. We don't go through chronological order, but we love to hear about people's upbringings and stuff. And we're just wondering what got you into rugby league in the first place.
My old man used to play. He played union back in Samoa, and he sort of just took me down the road, and there was a local footy team just down the road from my house in Punchbowl in Sydney, and so he took me down when I was around 4, and I started playing footy ever since then, and I fell in love with the game. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I know for myself personally, the first time I ever saw your name come up was your highlight reel on YouTube. You were obviously carving up in college.
Oh yeah, in high school. So I went to so I attended a school called Westfield. It was a sort of a league school, but I sort of wasn't in the picture of playing league. I was doing a union program over there, and my old man sort of just veered me away from that and enrolled me into, those private schools where they take the union a bit more serious. Yeah, and so I attended that school, and then and then rugby union just sort of caught my eye, and I sort of stuck with it all through high school.
Yeah, a lot of people have played rugby league and rugby union, and you've played both. Do you have like a pros and cons list of each code, or like do you prefer one over the other?
To be honest, I enjoy both, but me growing up, I always put my union first. I didn't think, when I finished high school, I was, going to be playing rugby league. I just thought I was going to be playing union. So yeah, that was a bit of a twist.
Yeah, in New Zealand, I don't know if it's the same over there. The first 15 becomes like the talk of the school almost. Is it sort of like real tribal over there as well, where there's massive crowds and stuff like that?
Yeah, 100%. Especially with the school that I went to, the passion that the school had for, rugby union as a sport, especially, the culture at the school and stuff it was really good. Had like all the kids and, basically the whole school would come on a Saturday to watch us play. And I was mad. We get, a lot of people at the games, and the community around, where we were located at as well was buying into what we did in school. And it's pretty crazy, having that effect on, not only the school kids, but the community. So, it was good.
Was there any other players that went to your school that kind of also went down the pro route and kind of made it?
In my year, it was a kid. His name's Davey. He plays for the Bunnies. Plays for Rabbitohs. He plays front row for the Rabbitohs. Davey Moale. Me and him were in the same year, and we played in the same team. Going through high school. So, probably him. He's been playing first grade regularly this year. So, probably him.
Yeah, you were able to play at an elite level in union. You played for the New South Wales rep team. How was that like?
Oh yeah, it was mad. It was a bit different because me, coming through high school, I sort of didn't really make those, those teams, those rep teams. And ever since I sort of went into union, I was getting, a look, playing union. So, no, it was a blessing for me. So, I didn't take that lightly.
Yeah, New Zealand, it's like, I'd have to pick one or the other at like 13. I sort of, by the sounds of it, in Australia, you can sort of go to and from. Is that correct? That you can play union and league at the same time, or?
Yeah. You can play union and league at the same time. For me, when I was young, from probably the age of like 8 or 9, I played union on Friday nights, and I played league on Saturdays. And once I started getting older, it was league on Saturdays and then union on Sundays. So yeah, we could play both.
Just veering away a bit from the rugby union talk, obviously you had a pretty rough year with the shoulder. How was the shoulder feeling?
Oh yeah, it feels all right now. From from after the surgery, it was pretty sore and couldn't really do much. All I had to do was sort of just get rest, and it was pretty, especially after surgery. So yeah, it was all right. It's getting there now. It's a bit swollen and a bit weak at the moment, but yeah, it takes time. So yeah.
And at what point did you realize that you should stop going in the path of union and steer more towards league?
It was a decision that myself and my manager made in terms of where the game of rugby union was going in Australia. And I sort of wasn't getting any offers in New South Wales, particularly only being one team in the Super Rugby, which is only the Waratahs. And me coming out of high school, I sort of didn't want to take that risk of sort of moving away from home a bit too early. So and then league, I had the Roosters that gave me an opportunity, like a half open door opportunity for me to have a crack. So I took that, and yeah, I didn't look back.
Yeah, people say the Roosters is one of the best youth setups in NRL. What would you think about it growing up in that youth setup, training wise and stuff like that?
Yeah, 100%. When I was around 15, 16, they sort of run little camps of with boys that from the area, and that they see have potential, and they'd fly kids over from New Zealand and put them in a team and sort of trial against other teams as well. And they don't put just anyone as coaches. They sort of actually think about who they put as coaches for the younger boys. Like Jake Friend, he runs all the the 18s and the 16s with Mitchell Orbison as well. So they're pretty smart with how they do things, and yeah, no, it's been good.
Yeah, they're not too bad mentors to have in front of you.
Yeah, 100%.
So much experience. How did the transition with the Warriors go this year?
The transition was a bit different. Obviously, me being on contract with the Roosters for the year, my mind was just purely on doing the best I could for the jersey that I was signed to for the year. And then things just didn't look that way at the time. So me and my manager, he was talking to me and said, the Warriors want to sign you for 2023 onwards, and it'd be good to get a head start. And I was like, oh yeah, I don't mind. But my head was so fixated on just playing for the Roosters. And then a few days, I'd say, went by, and I sort of didn't think about myself too much. I just thought about the opportunity that he gave me. So I think that was one thing. And yeah, so once again, I didn't look back once I made that decision to move.
How will that work next year? Like, if you guys are obviously going to have more home games here next year, will you move over here, or will you still have like your place over there and just kind of transition back and forth? Like, what would happen with you?
Oh no, I'll be moving over here, over to New Zealand. So I'll be moving over around October. Just got to find a place there, or I have some family there as well that I can stay with. So yeah, so I'll be a Kiwi for the next 3 weeks for the
Yeah, so you also got the opportunity to have as a mentor as Shaun Johnson during your short time at the Warriors so far. How's that been playing under his wing?
No, it's it's a dream come true. Me growing up, you look at players like Shaun Johnson. Especially when I came over and I saw him first day of training. I was there. I was sort of like shocked, but I sort of didn't want to give it away a bit too much because you're a professional now, so
Yeah,
you just be that fan person anymore. You gotta put in and give your worth to the team. So growing up, obviously Shaun Johnson was everything. He was at the best of the best out of all halfbacks, and being under his wing and learning from him and hearing the advice he gives me it's a blessing.
Yeah. I remember when you first signed with the Warriors, it was like this big hype saying a lot of rival clubs were also going for you. If you can say, what clubs were also going for you at that stage?
It was sort of like I had opportunities, to do union. That was an opportunity for me. Obviously the Roosters, they were sort of limited in what they could offer me. Obviously because the future that they already had set up with their halves that they have at the moment. Other clubs was clubs like Souths. That was another one, a rival club. And that's all I know. My manager didn't really tell me much, sort of just to keep my headspace to a minimum, to a minimal. So yeah, that's all I know.
Mm.
How did you end up picking the Warriors? Was there much thought that went into it?
Yeah, there was a lot of thought. Actually, it was about like a 2-month, where I had to think about what I wanted to do and the options that I had, laid out in front of me. And to be honest, I narrowed it down to players that I looked up to playing with. Obviously the likes of Shaun Johnson, obviously Harris, seeing those guys and just wanting to be a part of a club like the Warriors, and the history that they have and all of that stuff. And, let alone the opportunity that I would have had, to play, NRL footy. I would have got a quicker, opportunity to play first grade. So, yeah, I took it.
Yeah. So you were able to make your debut for the Warriors against the reigning premiers, the Penrith Panthers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it wasn't the best outcome. But how was that feeling debuting for the Warriors?
Oh, it was the best. Like I was so nervous running out, but as soon as I ran out, I sort of looked over and I saw all my family there. So it made it a lot easier for myself, So it was mad. It's a feeling that I sort of can't explain. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, everyone says that first game it goes like a blur and it's just so much faster than other games you play. Was that true? Like the pace of the game?
Yeah. The pace was pretty fast. I sort of I sort of couldn't believe that I kept up with the game speed. Obviously I didn't really play much games leading up to my debut as well. So yeah, and it's definitely a blur. I watched video on it about a few weeks ago, and I had no idea I did some things that I did in the game.
How did you actually find out that you were making your debut? Like, did the coach call you up, or did he come up and tell you? Like, how did you find out initially?
So I was just laying at home. It was on a Sunday. I was just laying at home. I was just watching TV, and then I got a call from Stace, but it was no caller ID. So I sort of let it ring, and then it called again, and I sort of answered, and I was like, "Oh, hello," and no one was saying anything, so I hung up straight away, and then called again, and then I picked up, and it was Stace, and he sort of just broke the news to me then.
You can't leave Stace just ringing. You got to answer him.
Yeah, 100%.
And you were able to play your first game at Mount Smart against the Tigers to get a good win over them. And how was the playing at a home crowd in New Zealand?
It was the best. It's the best game I've been a part of, in terms of the atmosphere. I underestimated what I was gonna expect, from the supporters, and running out on that field and just seeing everyone in in the stands and just hearing it was a lot different to what I'm used to. So yeah, it was really good. It was really good.
Yeah. Going back a tiny bit, you obviously played for the North Sydney Bears a bit in NSW Cup, and they say NSW Cup's quite close to NRL level. How was that playing in that level of footy?
Yeah, no, it was good. It was really fun, to be honest. Especially playing in Cup. You're basically playing with NRL players, that are sort of earning a spot to play in their first grade team. So it wasn't. I wouldn't say it's the same as NRL, but it wouldn't be far off. So it was good.
Yeah, taking it back to the Warriors, you've obviously lost quite a few players this year, but you've also got some great signings for next year, like Dylan Walker, Luke Metcalf, Nia Corey. Where do you think the boys will? Do you think they'll bounce back next year? And where do you get to see you guys who are coming?
Obviously we want results. Especially off the back of years, the club has been through. Obviously being, with COVID and stuff like that, we want to sort of come home and play out strongly throughout the whole year and just be consistent. I think with the new signings, it will help us, massively, especially, just having that, new coach as well, to sort of, keep us stable, I guess, in that aspect, and just give the boys reassurance, what we're doing and stuff like that. So yeah, it will be good. Hopefully we get some results next year.
Have you met the new coach yet, or?
So I had him in Samoa camp this year. Yeah. He was a assistant coach then for Samoa, and he was mad.
Yeah. So another guy that people talk about the Warriors, obviously our captain, is Tohu Harris. People say, oh, he's a bit quiet in the dressing room. Is he a lot louder and a lot more vocal than what people may see in the media side?
Yeah. In the change room, he wouldn't talk much. He does all his talk on the field, and obviously it shows his performance. But when he talks, he sort of just engages everyone because he talks, really detailed, into what he says and stuff like that. But he does, most of his talking is done on the field, and he's a gun.
Yeah, for sure. You're obviously a very young prospect coming up, and you've got a good head on your shoulders. What are your short-term goals and your long-term goals?
I think, short-term goals is just playing consistent footy, sort of finding my way into, first grade, and sort of like setting a standard for myself, and, just staying consistent. Obviously long term, you'd want to be, I'm pretty sure every player wants to be a one club, player. So I was sort of looking at that long term, just playing, the best footy that I can possibly play and have fun whilst doing it. So yeah.
A lot of players have not wanted to come over to the Warriors because of the transition from Australia to New Zealand. Do you think it's well, you mentioned before that you got family over here? Do you think it's going to be a tough transition coming over here, or?
Yeah. I think it'll be tough. Even for the boys that already live in New Zealand, I think it'd be a bit tough for them as well, because they've spent 3 years in Australia. And they're sort of moving again, sort of thing. But it's home for them. But I think it'd be a bit different in terms of environment, stuff like that. But, I'm sure those boys that live in New Zealand adapt to it pretty quickly. So, with guys like myself and, Fredi and, boys like that are just coming over to New Zealand next year, or the end of this year it's going to be tough. But I think we'll be okay.
Do you think the more home games is a morale boost for the boys?
Yeah, definitely. You see when the boys play at home, the boys are a whole different team. The energy is just a lot different, and it's really good. Playing in front of a crowd that is cheering your team on. You know what I mean? So yeah, 100%.
You mentioned Fredi before. How important do you think it was that you got to go to the Warriors with someone that was familiar to you? Like, a lot of people go to another team and it's all new faces, but at least you knew Fredi from the start.
Yeah, I wish I had someone else to. Fredi's the man. I've been, I've known Fredi since I was in high school. He was a bit older than me, but I used to sort of watch him, play. I sort of seen his journey throughout, under 20s into his first grade, start. So, me and Fredi transitioning over, it made things a lot easier for myself. So yeah, it was good.
For a little guy, boy, you can put some fucking shots on, eh?
I think there's some pros and cons to that on the field. Obviously, more I don't really need to get that low, so low center of gravity. That sort of just helps me, to be honest.
Ridiculous, eh?
Yeah.
So obviously at training, you get to train with the likes of Adam Fanua Blake and stuff. What is it like trying to tackle them?
Oh, I stay out of the way. I stay up on the edge. No way I'm getting in front of them.
Yeah. So as someone like as you're in the playing group and in the squad, how do you think the Warriors and the boys, how do you think they can improve on their performance this year and actually get some results next year?
I think it's being obviously in the off season, sort of get your time away from the game. I think that's important for the boys. I'm sure everyone knows individually what they need to do and what they need to sort of bring to the team. Obviously culture is a big thing that I think us as a team need to build on. Stuff like that, like chemistry, connections, building combos, stuff like that, starting from square one. So it'll be good, and just coming into preseason, in shape instead of out of shape, stuff like that. Yeah, that'll help us, dramatically. So yeah.
You mentioned just the time away from the game. What's your sort of like best relaxation time? Like, what do you normally do?
I just chill with the missus. Yeah, I just keep her company most of the time, or I'll be playing golf. Some of the boys. I'll be winning golf actually. and PlayStation, and that's about it.
Yeah.
We've talked to guys like young guns like Jeremiah Nanai, Isaiah Katoa, and one thing that they've said is that as young prospects, there's a lot of pressure on them, and I assume that's sort of similar to you. How do you deal with that pressure to the next big thing in the game? Like, how do you deal with that sort of expectation?
Yeah, I sort of try my best, to sort of just keep it to myself, sort of thing. Not to worry about, anything like the media, obviously, stuff like that, and just, doing what I do best. Obviously you have a, sort of bounty, on your head, and you have something to prove, and that's probably the big thing with me, playing games, on not only on TV, but like big games where, coaches are watching and selections are being made. You sort of just want to, put your best foot out there. And yeah, it's pretty nerve-wracking, but once you know what you're doing, you obviously be doing it for a while. I think that's what keeps me calm, knowing that I've been doing this for a while and nothing changes. So yeah.
I heard you mention before that you played PlayStation, so I've got a two-part question. What's your favorite game to jam at the moment? And two, are you excited for Rugby League Live 4 so you can play as yourself?
So I haven't played in a while now, obviously because of my shoulder. I tried playing before right after surgery, and like I was trash and I was getting angry. So I haven't played in a while, but I was really getting into NBA 2K. I was a gun. I was a gun. And Rugby League Live 4, nah, not really. My rating's probably gonna be like 50.
High potential though, so.
Nah.
You're a sort of player that can play number 6 or 7. Do you have a preference on where you like to play, or do you not mind where you play?
Oh no, I don't mind. Anywhere on the team, number 1 to 24, I don't mind. I'm easy.
Stick him at 8, Stacey.
Yeah.
Where did you play in Union? I saw a 10 on your back at 12 there. Where were you in Union most of the time?
I played a lot of positions. So when I was younger, when I first started, I was playing halfback because I was the smallest in my team, and I was still the smallest in my team. And I started playing 10 when I was around like 13, 14. I was playing 10 and halfback, and then once I started high school at my private school, and I was around 16, I played 10 my first year or first 15. My second, I played inside center. And my last year of school, I played fullback.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bit of an all-rounder.
Yeah.
So you're obviously a footy fanatic, as we know. But before you mentioned NBA, do you watch any sports outside of footy? And if so, what are your favorite teams?
What besides NBA?
Oh, just in general, like it could be NBA, just whatever sport you watch.
Yeah, NBA. I love NBA. Yeah,
Who's
NBA,
your-
my favorite. Portland Trailblazers.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Damian Lillard, that's my guy. Same time.
I like finally someone that's not like on LeBron. Like everyone we've had on the podcast has gone from Cavs to Lakers to Cavs, kind of.
Same time.
Yeah, now we're getting into the exciting end of the season. It's finals footy. Do you have any predictions on who's going to win in week 1 and who your predictions are?
I think a real threat is obviously Parramatta. You know, obviously them beating Melbourne Storm was a sort of a wake-up call, you know, and sort of question whether or not, you know, they were going to choke again like every other year. Yeah, obviously Penrith. You know, you got Penrith there. Yeah. Roosters started, you know, to get in form a bit late in the season. So I think Roosters will be a real threat. And and Storm obviously. But I think Storm and Penrith again.
Are you forgetting anyone?
Like who?
Oh, I'm a Cowboys fan, bro. So you're sleeping on us. I like it.
No way. Watch them lose the first 2 games.
Oh, what?
Pulling it right now. They're gonna lose the first 2.
I was just wondering, as like a Warriors fan, like a bit of a personal one. I was just wondering who's like the sort of class clown in the Warriors. Like, I have some ideas on who like the class clown comedian is, but who's like the pest at the Warriors?
Reece, Jazz.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking.
Jazz and Adam Pompey.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Adam Pompey.
Pompey said you when he was on the podcast. That's strange.
Yeah, Adam Pompey, bro. He's the biggest pest, bro. He might be quiet, but once you get to know him, bro, Adam Pompey is a pest.
There's a question that I like to ask people. Do you have any dad jokes?
Nah.
Go. Gotta have one.
Nah. No way.
Did you hear about the guy that robbed the convenience store?
No.
How dare he? Was that good or shit?
Oh my God. Did you guys your corner stores dairies, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It's because you don't.
Yeah, well, just one more question. I just sort of, so you've seen the likes of Roger Tuivasa-Sheck leaving the Warriors to go play Union and for the All Blacks. Towards the end of your career, would you see yourself doing anything like that, like going back to Union?
Yeah, 100%. You know, as I said, you know, I found a love and passion, you know, for rugby union before I, you know, even invented a pathway in the league. So yeah, 100%. I think you know, I wouldn't say no. You know, obviously my head is, you know, at league at the moment and what I can do for the team at the, you know, for the next 2 years, you know, that I'm here for. But yeah, probably, you know, later in my career where, you know, union where I can travel as well, play footy and travel, you know, overseas, you know, stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we've done the stereotype of the Kiwis loving Union. We've done a bit too much Union chat today, but thanks, Ronald, for joining the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Nah, all good, boys. I appreciate you guys having me on.
It's been a real pleasure.
No worries. Thank you, guys.
See you,
Thank
right.
you.